Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and I'm so thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and life with a purpose, and we believe that we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we could truly make a difference. We created a show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. Now, my guest is going to talk about sustainability and finance, a unique subject, and I'm pretty pumped up to learn more about because I think this is the future of sustainability and amongst other things. But while you're listening to him today, I want you to think about how you're going to serve today and what impact you'll create today. Let's not wait till tomorrow. Let's do that today. Now, today's episode is proudly sponsored by an incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries. Together, we are building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. Any questions about Pantheon Alliance, reach out to me and I'll get you all the information you need. Speaking of impact and change in the world, sustainability is the big hot topic, which it should be, because this earth is doing some crazy things right now. I want to welcome my guest, Bjarni. Did I say it right? I don't think I said it. I said it right?
No. Yeah. It's definitely good enough.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. He's from Norway. I love my international shows because it's a great perspective outside of the United States. Talk about sustainability and you add finance to that. What's this all about?
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Steve, for inviting me to your show. I've been listening to your podcast now for some time, and like the quality of participants that you have on, and like the conversations you have, really great.
Thank you.
And like the name of your podcast as well, doing business with a servant's heart, like this servant mentality is something which is like integral in the world of sustainability right now. So if we just walk back to the like basic definition of sustainability, it's like trying to, you know, do no harm and do something good with future generations in mind. Like we have to be sustainable, but we also have to make sure that future generations have the ability to live a sustainable life. So like everything we do, we're doing it in service to the future or the future generation. So it's and that's really what sustainability evolves around. Thinking about the future, the present and the future at the same time, which makes it complex at the same time. But I mean, if we go further and break sustainability down, okay, what is sustainability? It's about the environment, it's about societies, it's about individuals, it's about taking decisions and implementing good governance structures. It's about taxes. It's about investments in local communities, you know, and it's about prosperity for everyone. So the topic of sustainability, and also in the context of corporate sustainability, you know, captures so much at the moment. And then we add the complexity of finance. So sustainable finance, what does that all mean? I mean, granted, in the sustainability discussion, we need to venture into a lot of investments. We need to change a lot of the things that we're doing. We're trying to move away from fossil fuel. We're trying to go to clean energy. We're trying to do better waste management. We're trying to, educate a lot of people. So all of this costs money. And the simple act of financing all of these sustainable projects is sustainable finance. And that's where financial markets, capital markets come in.
Yeah, that's great. I love the servant heart for the future. Serve today, but your goal and perspective is let's take care of the future. Because I was thinking, somebody's born today, well, 100 years from now, it's going to be 21, 24. We're not going to be around. That's a given. I mean, unless things change real quick. So we got to prepare them, like we've got to educate our youth and these younger generations about sustainability. How do we do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, like in essence, like the basic definition of sustainability is simple, and then we talk about the environment, and all of these are tangible things most of the time. Like we see if our nature and our surroundings are in poor conditions. So like we can smell it, we can taste it, we can feel it. But then to implement all of the changes necessary, like we require like super complicated engineering, deep thinking. We're trying to do multiple things at the same time. So a lot of system type thinking, and it very quickly becomes super complicated. So like I don't envy the people in governments who need to implement certain policies, because they're like in isolation, maybe solving one problem is fairly simple, but when you have to think about multiple problems at the same time, it becomes very complicated. So thankfully in the educational curriculums today, people have started to implement learn or like teaching around sustainability and these environmental issues, social issues. So thankfully we're starting to connect with people at young age. Sorry, Steve, I'm just going to close the door, so please,
yeah, go right ahead.
Please,
go ahead. And interesting enough, everybody, you'll have probably, not all of you, but you probably have young people that don't know anything about sustainability. And that's where Bjarni comes in to help with that. Now, two things that I hear with this, because it's complicated: patience and communication. Talk about those two pillars and how important they are to this whole process.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this like modern wave of sustainability and how to think about sustainability really started maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, definitely building on thinking that had been kind of winding up for the last several decades, for a long time. So this has been a lot of patience in trying to, and what we're really trying to do is like trying to change the course of this giant, for lack of a better metaphor, like an oil tanker, which is our global economy, our global societies, towards more like sustainability thinking. So there's a lot of patience involved, and patience which we need to deploy every single day in trying to be patient around solving these big challenges of changing our energy infrastructure grid around the world to take in renewable energy sources, whether they are wind, solar, hydropower, and sometimes nuclear power as well. But at the same time, while we need to be patient, many of the governments around the world, international institutions and organizations, they've set very steep targets, as soon as 2030, 2040, 2050, achieve net zero, which means like you have to balance out emissions by 2040, 2050. and these are hugely complicated and steep targets to achieve. So while we have to be patient, we have to be very impatient at the same time, which makes this interesting but also complicated.
Intricate is a word.
And communication
go
was
ahead.
your second point. And that's something that us as sustainability specialists, experts, leaders in the field who are trying to solve big challenges with, world-renowned companies, for example, or governments, what we have kind of been, accused of or could have done better at some points, and we're trying to do that better now, is to try to communicate all of these things, the challenges we face, the problems we're trying to solve, the solutions that we're trying to bring to the table, and try to communicate this in a better way. Because, a company or a government cannot go ahead with, super difficult solutions, for example, implement super, big solutions that impact a lot of people, impact a lot of societies without communicating them properly. What are we trying to do? Why are we trying to do it? And what is the positive impact that we're trying to achieve and negative impact that we're trying to alleviate? And try to get these stakeholders on board and bring them with us. So communication is definitely a key.
Big part of that. So, okay, we solved those problems. Let's dream world a little bit. I know they're not solved, but here's the other component, or the other obstacle, is the money side. This is not cheap stuff. It's not like, hey, we're going to build a house for 100,000, in Mexico and house people. This is big stuff. What's your idea in bringing the finance part of it into this equation?
Yeah, good question. And this has been a hot topic that is continually debated in financial markets and with policymakers. So, and this has been going kind of up and down. Maybe 10 years ago, there was a kind of wave of what we call sustainability investing or ESG investing started, financing, like you said, like these grand scale infrastructure projects, large scale energy projects, etc. And financing companies that were doing well on these fronts, like, Google, Microsoft, they have their sustainability reports, initiatives, etc. All of this needed financing, and that's where the financial markets came in. They were, diverting capital towards these types of more positive or more sustainable investments. So this went quite well for, a period of maybe 10 years. We saw a lot of growth year by year in these types of investments. But then we kind of hit a wall whereby now we had these 10 years of experience, but experts in the field, they were really rethinking, okay, is how we're doing things or what we're doing right? Is it based on, solid ideas, solid processes? Then we started to see that regulations were coming in and definition around certain things started changing as we got more experience. And then we kind of figured out what some sustainable investments that we had defined as such weren't really sustainable. They weren't really, contributing to a greener, more sustainable future. So we had a few big greenwashing cases where maybe people were trying to make things out a little bit better than they really were in the back end. So the financial industry learned a lot and had to learn a lot very quickly and kind of change their ways. So since then, how we label funds, how we label investment, what kind of terminology we use, what kind of processes we can back up by saying, okay, this project is green, this project is social. It's way more robust and becoming way more robust because we had like these mistakes made that we learned from. And what has also been happening, and this is maybe primarily driven by US-based investors, and I'm not framing this as a negative thing. I feel it's a very logical thing that investors, like primarily based in the US, they are putting far more emphasis on, hey, I'm in control of this money, like let's say a pension fund in Texas. I have a duty, fiduciary duty to my investors, my pensioners. So I have to get certain return on investment if I put money into this investment. So they're making very difficult or like serious inquiries into sustainable investments. Okay, this may be sustainable, but is this gonna, provide me with an acceptable return on investment? And this is really pushing the financial industry to rethink, to reevaluate, and say, yes, we need to be sustainable, but we also have to be financially sustainable.
I like that. That's great. Sustainable both ways. I like that. The other obstacle I think is probably the biggest one, and my amateurism in this is probably not so wrong, is government. They have to buy into this because you're going to Africa or going to Australia, whoever, and saying, hey, we want to be sustainable. But really starts with the government giving you the thumbs up, saying, Bjarni, let's go and do it. How do you deal with the government?
That's a very good question as well. And I feel the sustainability discussion has been going a little bit back and forth on what is the role of companies, what is the role of the financial industry, and what is the role of governments. At some point, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago, people were kind of hoping, and we saw a lot of large companies, in the likes of Google and Microsoft and those types of kind of global companies stepping up and saying, hey, we feel that the governments are not taking the lead here, like in the sustainability discussion. So they stepped in and said, we are going to take on a lot of responsibility in trying to make the future more sustainable, investing in projects, diverting capital, etc., etc. But that occurred over a couple of years. But then people figure out, wait, hey, is this really the role of companies to do this? Like a company, has a certain kind of fundamental principles of, what's the role of a company? That's to provide service, make products, clearly we can do that better, and we're trying to do that better. But that's kind of the role. It's not to be a policymaker. It's not to be, a government. So what's then the role of governments? And that's like you said, like governments have a certain role to play, enact policies, make sure that influencing laws and regulations around companies, etc., financial markets. So governments are critical, and politicians in government, they cannot outsource that responsibility to companies or to financial markets. If they want certain changes to happen, like that's where things need to happen, clearly in dialogue and communication with companies and the financial industry. But the responsibility sits there with our elected politicians. But then again, like the world is big, and sometimes we don't have elected people in power. Like we have different types of governments or ruling powers in different countries. So it's also going to be interesting to see, maybe looking a few years down the line, what type of government or controlling authorities reach better outcomes. We don't know.
Yeah, elections coming up here in America, because you're in Norway. That's gonna be defining. You just told me, or just proved to me, this is not going to happen. I have a great podcast, but we're not going to solve the problem here. But it's one step at a time. I think it sounds like take the one step, and that's what your goal is, just to not change it tomorrow, but 10 years from now, it's better. The next 10 years, it's better. And I love that, because that's how business should be run anyways. any of you business owners out there, just grow little by little. Yeah, you might have a spike one day. You might have, Microsoft says, here's $1 billion. We have extra. Great. But what's tomorrow look like? So I love your whole strategy on this. And I'm excited. I'm also excited about your book. Talk about your book and why you wrote it and the mission behind it.
Yeah, thank you. Have it here with me. Supercharging sustainability. I mean, I've had the fortune of working in and around sustainability and corporate sustainability, sustainable finance now for like 10, probably can stretch it over to 15 years when I was working in banking and finance, and had the opportunity to work on a lot of interesting projects with a lot of high profile clients and make very nice influence, nice systematic changes on a country level, working with several governments around the world, etc. So I kind of felt I had gathered quite a bit of experience around these topics. Did I see myself as the foremost specialist in this field? No way, Jose. But I mean, I kind of felt I had something to say, and I felt that people had, were listening to what I had to say. So decided to sit down, put my experience into this book, and it's the intention with the book is really to help people, let's say like yourself, like my friends who are not experts in this field, working in finance or in corporates, to kind of gain a big picture, see the full overview. Okay, this is how it connects. This is why we're talking about this thing. This is why we're finance. This is how we finance these types of projects. So it's really kind of a snapshot, an easy, accessible guide to people to, grasp things, because what will happen in the next few years, it's only going to become more complicated, more laws, more regulations. So, it's good to start picking up, this is how it looks right now, and then you can build on top of that as we go along.
I use a sports analogy. It sounds like the playbook for sustainability. If you know what playbook, right? Here it is in the book. If you want to learn how we could be 30 years better, you wrote it down. And I love about a book, it's your perspective. It's not for everybody, but it's your perspective. The people that resonate with that, grab the book, read it, and get a better playbook. And maybe there's some things we can always do something, but my first thought is, man, I want to be able to give $1 billion. I don't have $1 billion, but what can I do to be part of your mission and journey? And that's what I think this book really does. And that's exciting. How can they find the book?
They can find it on Amazon, Supercharging Sustainability, or under my name. They can find it on my homepage, bjarniherrera.com. Also had the good news last week that I apparently won some nice book awards in the US.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Last week. Yeah, it was quite a nice surprise. San Francisco Book Festival, International Firebird Book Award, and a couple of others. So yeah, it was quite happy about that.
Well, books are legacies, and you're leaving a fantastic legacy for years upon years. When we leave this earth, people can still have access to this playbook and book to be able to learn. I like the end of the show with something fun. Real serious talk. We have important talk, but let's have some fun. So you have you reserved a table at a restaurant there in Norway. You've got 4 seats. You're going to occupy one of the seats. In the 3 other seats, dead or alive, who would you invite? Why would you invite them? And I think the most important thing is, what food would you order?
Oh, well, first I must tell you that restaurants in Norway are very expensive. So Norway is a very expensive country.
I'll foot the bill. Bjarni, I got the bill foot. So you're covered there.
Thank you. But very good question. I would like to invite the original Buddha. Get insights into his logic of things and thought process, let's say. I would like to invite Jeff Bezos. For a few reasons. It's interesting to have a conversation with a person of that kind of that stature and with that vast amount of capital under their hands to understand like their logic pattern and thought processes. So now I've chosen one spiritual, one kind of more capital oriented or entrepreneurial oriented. The fourth person also to take in some principles of sustainability, to think about gender ratios at the table. Would like to call on Mother Teresa. More, it's a religious person, but also this kind of philanthropistic kind of mindset to get some insights into them. So 2 dead, 1 alive, and 2 alive with myself.
Yeah. And what a servant heart Mother Teresa was. So that's from this podcast. I mean, she's probably top 1% right across the board. So what are we going to order? I'm excited to hear, because I know it's not going to be a traditional United States meal. What would you order?
So I've had the good fortune of, I'm originally from Iceland, live in Norway, so everything revolves around seafood. So seafood will be on the table: shrimps, lobster, cod, and then we have a few kind of more unorthodox seafood types.
Wow. Seafood in Italian, they call it cioppino. It's a bucket of seafood. Oh, you're familiar. Okay. My wife loves cioppino, so remind me of my wife.
Love it.
I want to thank you for being on this incredible show. You really taught us about sustainability. How can people reach out to you, connect with you, and support you?
Thank you. Yeah, and again, Steve, thank you for inviting me on the show. It's been a real pleasure. Came here for a conversation, and we definitely had a good conversation. People can reach me on my homepage, bjarniherrera.com, which links to a couple of businesses I have, and they can find my email and contact information there, or look up my name on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out with any questions, thoughts, opportunities.
And Bjarni's information will be on the show notes, so don't worry about that if you didn't get that or watch this over again. But do me a favor, comment on the YouTube channel. You have critiques about the show or love the show, let me know. You got comments for Bjarni, let me know. I'll get it to him or email him, because sustainability is here to stay. It ain't going anywhere. AI's here, internet's here, sustainability is right there. I hope it grows faster than those two, but that's a whole different thought. Also, subscribe. He was an incredible guest today. Listen to more incredible guests, not about me, but about what they're offering, their servant's heart, but also education like we had today. What education from man from Norway, helping us to have a better world. I'm pumped up about that. And as always, Bjarni and me, well, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.